So I'm going to kick it off with Arlan, because one of the graphs that I did not include in my presentations I thought would work very well for you, Arlan. And if you don't mind pulling up the chart on China, I think it's particularly relevant for you, and I'd like to get your thoughts on China. So this chart that you're going to see now is the vulnerability of China to, what's going on in Iran right now. China gets a lot of its energy from this area, and they are already in a difficult position economically. Would you give us your views on China geopolitically, economically, and markets-wise?
Yeah, and with the Trump administration, everything he's done literally has had a connection to China and his attempt to contain China, I will say. And he's doing everything in fast order because after losing the election in 2020, and anticipating, as he always is so confident, that he would get reelected in 2024, and especially when he saw that he had a very narrow margin in Congress, he knew he had only 2 years to get everything done and not 4 years. And so he's been moving very rapidly. And one of his big concerns was containing China, who has said their goal is to become the #1 economy. And with that comes the #1 military, but they're especially #1 economy and the global currency of trade. And so when he goes to Venezuela, it's about China and Iran being in Venezuela, getting access to the rare earth minerals. Greenland, it's about China and Russia. When he goes to Iran, it's also about China. Now, there's other reasons as well. Certainly, when you look at what Iran has done to support the proxy groups and stuff that have been attacking U.S. servicemen and even 9/11 in the United States. But China's behind it. We do have the summit set up, the heads of state summit set up for March 31 to April 2nd. We do anticipate there will be a trade deal coming out of that because heads of state don't meet unless they have something to champion. We do anticipate commodities will be a big piece of that, but also technology, rare earth minerals, etc. And the very fact that Iran is such a strong partner of China, but yet China's reaction and response to this point has been rather vanilla. And so that would suggest that President Xi, with his problems that he's having internally, his problems are not with the people of China so much as with the communist leadership of China in being able to secure another term. And when he came out of the fourth plenum meeting in October, he sensed that he had significant cracks in his support base, and he started purging the military of anyone who might not, he considered not loyal, having 9 high-level officers, including 5 of the top 6 generals, arrested on corruption charges, and the highest legislative body in China backed him up 2 weeks ago in removing them formally from their office. So he is starting to secure that position a little bit stronger now. Simultaneously, we saw the negotiations hit a rough spot ahead of the summit. But I still believe that he needs President Trump right now. President Trump needs President Xi right now ahead of the midterm elections. So there will be a summit, there will be a trade deal, and President Xi and President Trump are walking the line very carefully around all these issues to continue to move forward with a partnership that they need over the next year, while also attacking each other or on the peripherals.
Thank you very much, Arlan. And there's a lot of questions, so thank you all very much for all of your questions. But one of them I will incorporate into my own, which is a predetermined question for you. What is the level? At what level is corn correlation with oil now, Arlan? And I'll add to that question, which is we know that the shipping disruptions and the transit, or the collapse in transit through the Strait of Hormuz affects energy. But what other disruptions do you see in the commodity complex?
Well, certainly you mentioned fertilizer, and that's a big issue since a large portion of the world's fertilizer goes through that region. And so we have seen ag commodities, particularly grain and oilseed prices, surge higher as a result of the disruption. Now, much of the fertilizer for the Northern Hemisphere is already in position, but it's just like when the first strike on Iran took place, gasoline prices at your local station jumped, even though the gasoline in their tanks was already available at a cheaper price. So even though the supply is largely in position, the price has jumped, and that could certainly impact crop planting mixtures this year, planting decisions, because if a farmer does not have his supplies booked or committed yet, he's still vulnerable to that higher price as a result. And so it will have some impact. That's what the market is currently concerned about. We have large supplies of the food, most all of the food-based commodities right now, but it's more of a concern about the future and disruption of flow at this point that the markets are reacting to.